Hi, this is Lynda Gaiao and welcome to the monthly overview for April. Each month, the different traits move around the mandala wheel in an anti-clockwise direction. And so we're going to continue the movement through the wheel. In April, we're going to transition through initiative, growth, ordering, nourishment, and rationalization. And with that, it's going to bring the courage to compete, the energy to grow, the pressure to change, the energy for caring, for self-caring, for nourishment, the pressure to convert inspiration into rational thought. So let's go through each of these traits one by one. In April, we are going to stay in the quarter of initiation where purpose is fulfilled through mind. So we're going to still be in this phase of thinking and educating, of conceptualizing, explaining, sharing what it means to be alive in this physical form. And it's really a time for us to fine-tune the mind to be able to get it to surrender to the form. And once we get really comfortable in the body, in the form, we get to live as ourselves without trying to be something else. And as most of you would have felt in the month of March, there has been a lot of emotional traits going through, and the trait of crisis is the one that I've seen that has been impacting people the most in the last month. And so really, there's been a lot of emotional intelligence, really getting into emotional awareness, understanding things from many different perspectives without getting emotionally heightened in the process. And part of this is about really just letting go of the stories that the mind has to tell us about things such as the word crisis, where people can often see that as a very negative thing and can get into a very mental space as a result of that. So let's have a look at the traits that we're going to be going through in the month of April. And by the end of April, we will be finished with this particular quarter of initiation, this purpose fulfilled through mind. So the first trait we're going to go into is trait 51, which is initiative. And while we are in trait 51, we're really going to have this ego and courage-driven competition. Part of this is about staying one step ahead and really being able to risk going where no one has gone before. And to do that, you really need to have a warrior spirit. This initiation into something new and different means that we will often have to face the shocks that come with something new. And these shocks can be unpredictable. They can really come out of the blue and shock us. And the shocks are going to be a possibility for us to test our resilience, to test our courage and our spirit. So you may be shocked out of your comfort zone while this trait of initiative is around. And part of that is really tuning into, do you know what is worth standing up for? What is worth fighting for? Or are you presenting a very watered down version of yourself into the world rather than really claiming your energy and standing up and standing true to yourself? Next, we move into trait 42, which is growth. And growth really only happens when we complete a cycle. So we move through the beginnings, middles, and ends. And as we bring that cycle to completion, we get to access the growth because the cycle contains lessons within it, and the most potential that we receive from any cycle, what any cycle has to offer, is to go into that cycle, to experience what it has to offer for us without any expectation of what it's going to lead to. And at the end of that cycle, we get to glean the lessons from going through all of that. And cycles do not happen in a circle. They're more of a spiral dynamic where each cycle builds on the lessons learned from the past cycle. And over time, you get this collection of experiences, which really becomes the foundation that ensures that we continue to grow. Next, we move into trait 3, which is ordering. And This is about establishing order and transcending confusion. When something new comes into our existence, there's often confusion and chaos. So if we have some kind of structure or some kind of order, we can actually navigate through that chaos, navigate through that confusion, and create almost like a process or a system or a structure or an order in order for whatever's new that's coming in to take hold. And when something new takes hold is when people really get to benefit from it. So this trait of ordering really brings this enthusiasm for change, because there's this understanding that the order will allow us to have those structures which provide the vehicle for that something new that's coming in to actually have lasting value and impact for us, rather than being something that appears and then disappears as fast as it comes in. One thing to understand about this particular trait is that you cannot predict, control, rush, or force things here. The energy for change happens in a pulse. It happens in its own timing. And so you really need to have the patience to allow it to come in when it comes in. And when there is nothing happening, which can often feel like, we really need a change, but there's no energy for change. We really need a change, but there's no energy for change. And when you get stuck in this space between, there can be this melancholy that arises, this sense of potentially even depression if your mind gets involved. So really practicing this unwinding of any kind of nervous energy, so that you can just allow that inner genius to emerge, and for it to be heard and followed when it emerges. And when the change does happen, there is going to be this amazing quantum leap potential. Next, we move into nourishment, being here to nourish and nurture with compassion. So caring is all about attending to those that actually require support and really instilling within the community a sense of values and ethics. So forming this foundation for the community that's wholesome and good and full of nourishment and caring on compassion, and values and ethics, which really ensures the survival and high standard of living of that community. And one thing that's really important here is that self-caring and that nourishment, or the caring and the nourishment, has to start with yourself first. So it has to be about self-care. And so really having this investigative mind while this trait of nourishment is around, to really understand what does self-care and self-nourishment look like for you. And knowing that offering care and support from a place of being totally filled up, you then have the resources to be able to help others. But it's really important to only offer that caring, that nurturing, and that compassion to people who have actually asked you for that support. If you're just handing it out, what's going to happen is you probably are going to meet resistance from the other end, and then you're going to feel like you're always helping everybody, but you never have any recognition for the nourishment and the caring that you put out into the world. Next, we move into 24 of rationalization, converting inspiration into rational concepts. And so we get these inspirational thoughts and we ponder over them. We turn them over and over and over again, repeating them over and over and over again until some kind of knowing, until some kind of rational way to conceptualize the inspiration comes in. And it comes in a pulse. So it is spontaneous. You actually have no control of the timing here either. And you get this sudden aha that surfaces from the silence. And that inspirational thought then becomes this rational concept that can actually bring the change and transformation for people. So you may experience, while this trait is around, a very busy mind, a feeling as if you don't have any inner silence or any inner peace, because the mind is going to repeat. It's going to go over and over and over and over things again and again and again. So to get to this place of rational thought, to get to this place of knowing, you cannot force the timing. And while you're waiting for that aha to emerge, you may actually experience a pressure to know. I want to know, I need to know. How can I get to a place of knowing? and just having the patience that when the timing is right, it will emerge. So that is all of the traits for April. We move through initiative, which is that courage to compete, growth, which is that energy to move through the cycle to get to a place of growth, ordering, which is that pressure for change, which happens if we can create that order, that structure for that change to be able to take hold. The energy for nourishment and caring, remembering that it always starts with self-care, and that inspiration for converting that inspiration into a rational thought. And this is a pressure that we're going to feel here. So I hope you enjoy your journey around the wheel through the month of April. If you have any questions about this, or if you'd like to be guided deeper into understanding yourself from a very clear and authentic place, then this is how you reach me. I hope you have an awesome month of April. Bye for now.